Thanks for staying with us. We'll be taking the papers from The Nation. Major headline, Mba opens another gale of governors' defection to APC. Qatar backs First Lady's plan for out-of-school children. Tinubu's reforms courageous, ex-SGF Obaolu Falaye declares. President pays tribute as Reverend Umar Okpai dies at 80. IMF seeks autonomous central banks in stronger global system. Federal government directs VCs to enforce no work, no pay rule. And FCCPC to enforce CBN rule for banks to refund failed ATM transactions in 48 hours. I hope somebody took this story. My money that failed since 3 weeks now, I'm still fighting for it. They've not refunded. But quickly, let me talk about Umar Okpai, popular preacher and founder of the Umar Okpai Evangelistic Association. Dr. Umar Okpai has died. He was 80 years. Born in Asaga, Ohafia, Abia State, Okpai rose from humble beginnings, overcoming early challenges to answer the divine call that later defined his life and impacted generations. So they said through decades of evangelical work, he became a household name in Nigeria's Pentecostal movement, renowned for his fiery preaching and mass crusades that drew hundreds of thousands. A statement announced his passing by the family said the cleric died October 6th. And the statement reads, with hearts full of gratitude, we celebrate the triumphant homegoing of Reverend Dr. Umar Okpai. He was a spiritual general known for evangelism, a founding father of faith, a loving husband, devoted father, and mentor to many. And they talked about the fact that they have to give us the proceedings later on when they are ready. He said he's survived by a wife, children, and global community of followers. Also, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has paid a glowing tribute to the late Dr. Umar Okpai. The president described the revered preacher as one of God's generals whose life and ministry brought revival, peace, and humanitarian service to Nigeria and beyond. I remember growing up, he was one person we heard so much about. I think it was his assemblies. They were very popular. He had crusades all over the place. And yesterday I just saw that my husband was listening to his preaching and his singing. And I was like, what happened? He said he had died. I said this man was like, he was a pillar for Pentecostalism at the time. May his soul rest in perfect peace.
Amen.
Yeah. Which other stories?
So we have the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC. They've announced that its support for the Central Bank of Nigeria's draft guidelines requiring all banks to refund customers' money in cases of failed automated teller machine, that's ATM transactions, within 48 hours. Because this is a huge issue.
It is.
In a statement by its Director of Corporate Affairs, Mr. Ijagu, the FCCPC said the exposure of the CBN's draft guidelines on the operations of ATM in Nigeria followed the Commission's Consumer Complaints Data Report, which was published last month. In that report, it stated that the report covered the period from March to August 2025 and showed that the banking and fintech sectors accounted for the highest number of complaints nationwide. Over 3,000 cases in banking alone, with about 10 billion naira recovered for customers across 30 sectors. That's a lot. The findings highlighted recurring issues such as failed transactions, unauthorized deductions, and delayed refunds, all of which the CBN draft guidelines seek to address. FCCPC's Executive Vice Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Tunji Bello, described the proposal as a timely and long-awaited correction to a persistent consumer challenge. He noted that even at the draft stage, it demonstrates stronger alignment between regulatory agencies committed to consumer protection. So I keep asking this question, why does this thing only happen within the Nigerian financial market? Because when you go to other places like Turkey, UK, you don't see these issues of, let's say you're trying to use ATM or something, keeps bouncing back and they're holding your money, you have to go to the bank. And this has been happening for a long time now, over how many years? So why can't they get it right? It's an issue.
It's a question.
Yeah. So do you have time?
Yes.
Okay, so I have the... Okay, the First Lady. So the Qatar Foundation has pledged to support Nigeria's renewed efforts to reform the Almajiri and out-of-school children education system. So there was a meeting between our First Lady and the foundation's founder, Her Highness Sheikh Moza bint Nasser Al Misned in Doha. So our First Lady led the Nigerian delegation and was seeking collaboration with the foundation to address the challenge of more than 15 million out-of-school children in Nigeria, the highest number globally. The First Lady is embarking on a transformative model of Almajiri education schools that will integrate both Islamic and formal education. What we're hearing is that these schools will host and care for children in a safe learning environment, including mosques for worship, skills acquisition facilities, and boarding accommodations for students, imams, and caregivers. They're saying that this holistic approach will allow children to acquire both formal and Islamic education free from exploitation, while equipping them with life skills to contribute meaningfully to society. And says that because of the magnitude of the challenge and competing demands on our national resources, it's not something that Nigeria can achieve alone. So that's why, you know, they need collaborations, and that is why she went to meet with the Sheikha, and you know, who has done so much in that field as well. And so she says that what she's done has, you know, sort of encouraged her as well, and encouraged Nigeria that this is something we can do. For me, I think it's
a good one,
laudable, and I just hope that it comes to fruition. We would love to see our children off the streets,
and back to school,
doing well in a, you know, in facilities that will develop them fully and wholly. Yes.
Well done.
Well, they have party in Enugu State today. They are receiving the Vice President Kashim Shettima. They have party who is leading a strong delegation of APC chieftains. So the APC National Chairman Nentawe Yilwada and the Senate President Godswill Akpabio, as well as the Speaker of House of Reps, are all heading to the coal city to, you know, welcome the governor of Enugu State into their fold, the APC. And the rumor says...
That's the happening governor.
That's the happening governor. Yes,
so
no,
well.
he's actually... You know, I said he was my darling.
Your favorite governor.
He's my favorite
right
governor because of, you
Stop
know...
stealing him from me. Anytime I find someone, you find a way to steal them from me.
But Fubara is still my darling.
How many would you have?
No, for interesting stories, Fubara is, but for achievement and work, Mubai is. And Mubai is moving. And he has the support of the Ohaneze Ndigbo in the state. He has the support of the Algon chairman in the state. He has the support of traditional rulers in the state. Even though he's moving, they said none of his defection from the PDP will not in any way affect his second term bid. And there's rumor inside that after the governor of Delta State had defected, that of Akwa Ibom had defected, now they are waiting for Diri of Bayelsa. It is going to join them. They say that they have that he has finalized all he has dotted the things just to announce.
Wow.
So we're going to be looking towards that in the coming weeks. But
allegedly.
No, this was not alleged drill.
One party
nation
system,
will be
is that where we're going to?
But the governor of Oyo State, who is of course the PDP Governors Forum chairman, is wondering what is happening. He said this cannot change the minds of voters in the coming elections, that, you know, and it will not change their conference, that their convention that they are planning. So we are going to see. We are waiting to see what happens.
All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, the paper reviews continue. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Welcome back. We're still reviewing the papers. Moving on now to Daily Sun. Major headline: ASU strike. Federal government directs VCs to enforce no work, no pay. Nobody can threaten us. Piuna, that's the ASU president. Enugu Agog as Governor Mba defects the APC. PDP reps caucus ask NJC to caution judges against being used to scuttle democracy. Alleged Christian genocide. Nothing will break Nigeria. Sultan of Sokoto tells US. Stop destroying people's property. Obi wants federal government and governors. Tinubu and Okalo Khan mourn renowned cleric Omokbai. And defections, PDP will triumph, Makinde tells party members. What do we have in the Sun?
Okay, let me start with the Sultan of Sokoto. He was in Lagos yesterday. Welcome, sir. It was at the meeting of the National Council of Traditional Rulers in Nigeria. And this year's theme for the meeting is traditional institution, the imperative of its inclusion in effective and efficient governance in Nigeria. And so he was talking to journalists about the U.S. Senator from Texas, Ted Cruz, who had, you know, pushed a bill seeking to make Nigeria a country of particular concern over religious matters, insisting that Christians alone were being killed by the Islamist group known as Boko Haram, which is not an Islamist group, which is just a terror group, and the Fulani militants. And the Sultan then addressed that, yes, he has very strong impressions of the government of the United States, and he believes that it is the best idea to at least challenge that government stance, because this had been done, making this CPC, that's the Culture of Particular Concerns bill, had been done in 2020, and it was then removed in 2021 in the same US. And so it's better to, challenge it and let them know we have our internal issues, but not religiously follow it. In the same vein, of course, it says that nothing will divide our country, and we'll fight from within to make sure that, to resist these terrorists.
Okay, which other stories?
So the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, excuse me, Peter Obi, has warned governments at all levels to desist from the destruction of properties belonging to Nigerians. Posting on his verified X handle on Monday, the former Anambra State governor said the recent demolition of citizen structures and the destruction of their goods and merchandise remains condemnable. Further stated that an administration whose policies and style have sent several millions of Nigerians into poverty in 29 months should show compassion for its citizens. He also reiterated that with these demolitions, destroying the livelihoods of the citizens, that undermines businesses and threatens the economic security of hardworking citizens, that many people who want to come and invest in Nigeria will be scared because they just feel like they wake up one day and everything is gone. Yes, and that they should really look at the fact if due process is being followed, or most times if it's just people trying to politically sabotage other people.
Okay, we're taking The Guardian now. 72.64% of Nigeria's petrol imported amid rivalry from new refineries. National Assembly proposes November 2026 for next general elections. Defections, Makinde insists Nigerians hold ultimate verdict. Labour waits into federal government ASU rift as strike grounds varsities nationwide. Dangote warns against using monopoly claims to discourage local investment. Federal government's multi-billion naira FCT homes project excites judiciary. What do we have in The Guardian?
Federal government's multi-billion naira FCT homes. So they say in a landmark initiative aimed at strengthening performance and enhancing welfare of judicial officers. Minister of the FCT, Son Wike, flagged off the design and construction of permanent residencies for heads of 4 critical courts in the country. President of the Court of Appeal, Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Chief Judge of the FCT High Court, and the President of the National Industrial Court. He said the ceremony was held in Abuja, attracted senior members of the bench, bar, and executive arm of government, including the Attorney General of the Federation, who hailed the initiative as a testament to this administration's commitment to judicial reform and infrastructural development. They said this multi-billion naira project, which is to be delivered within 12 months, would see each of the aforementioned judicial leaders housed in befitting purpose-built residences within the FCT. That's it.
Okay, so let me take the electoral reform. So National Assembly are proposing to hold our elections, the governorship and that of the presidential elections should now hold in November 2026, 6 months before the end of the current administration's tenure end. This is a move which they said will be termed the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2025, which aims to allow all election litigation end at before May 29, so that upon swearing in, there will be no other litigation post swearing in and when the government is already in office. And they're also looking at pushing for all the elections to hold in one day. Prior to this, we used to hold presidential elections a week or 2 weeks before the state elections, and so they're looking at holding all elections in one day, which will save costs. And then they're looking at a blockchain technology to enhance the effectiveness of these reforms. What I did not understand is what concern the UK inside the matter. Because now the UK says they're expressing readiness to partner Nigeria in strengthening its democratic process through amendment of the Electoral Act 2022. Okay. But this draft is already ready, it's before the House, and the hearing jointly organized by the Senate and the House of Committees on Electoral Matters in Abuja, and if it is done, of course, it will be a step forward. You know, we usually have voters' apathy after presidential election, which concern us. It don't used to concern us.
That affects every other
Yes,
thing.
depending on how we feel. And so this, of course, would ensure a lot of progress. I just don't know how we would achieve the 6 months before. You know, this
Before
is
that.
a short time planning, but
Okay,
it's okay.
I have a story here. Founder of the Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, has cautioned against using the cry of monopoly to discourage indigenous investment and industrial growth, insisting that no one is preventing anybody from investing in Nigeria. So speaking at the 2025 inaugural annual Downstream Petroleum Week, organized by the House of Reps Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream, that happened yesterday, Dangote, represented by the Group Chief Strategy Officer of Dangote Industries Limited, Aliyu Suleiman, he said the focus should instead be on policies that encourage productivity, innovation and fair competition. Too many people with the means to build industries choose instead to invest abroad. We decided to build here, to employ here and to produce here. So let us not use the cry of monopoly to stop growth. No one is prevented from investing. We welcome others to build their own refineries and we will offer support in whatever way we can according to them. So it's just about prosperity for, you know, everybody, that people should actually invest here. Final paper for today. Vanguard. Let's see the stories we haven't taken. NMPCL orders hike petrol price to 922 in Lagos, 955 naira to a litre in Abuja. Which one have we not taken? Insecurity won't end with guns, Amici wants. And third Vanguard Mental Health Summit on mass crisis of addiction suicide. What do we have in the Vanguard?
Price of PMS, otherwise known as petrol, yesterday increased by 6.8%. That's to 955 naira per litre from 890 naira per litre sold last week. They said that stations of NMPCL and stations owned by independent marketers in Lagos and Abuja showed that the petrol was dispersed between 900 and 955 naira per litre. So they had a conversation with Ipman, and the public relations officer attributed this hike to supply and logistic challenges incurred by major marketers in the industry, which include NMPCL and Dangote. He said Dangote increased their holding price to 845 naira per litre against 825 naira earlier sold, thereby resulting to selling price of between 900 and 955 naira per litre. They said they are also aware that NMPCL supplies only to their retail outlets, and the supply of Dangote is not sufficient for marketers. Most of our members who paid for products with Dangote are yet to load for 2 weeks now. I would say that when people are scrambling for products, it results to hike in price. Some marketers who paid to buy about 3 million litres from Dangote were only given 1 million litres, as he complained of products being rationed amongst marketers.
He said his
people will stop locking up businesses.
Exactly.
There's a what happened? There's a fallout of that sort of behavior.
That's the result. And he says he has enough to give to Nigerians and even other parts of Africa. So why are we still having this? Thank you so much, ladies, for your contributions. That's all we can take on the newspaper reviews. When we come back, we'll move on to the topics for today. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.